If you're over 50, there's a good chance you've never once thought about what you eat right before bed and your kidneys in the same sentence. Most people don't. We think about our heart. We think about our blood sugar. But your kidneys? They quietly do their job every single day, filtering out waste, balancing your fluids, keeping your blood pressure in check, and they rarely get a second thought until something goes wrong. Here's what a lot of people don't realize. There's one simple fruit, something you've probably seen in your grocery store 100 times, that when eaten at the right time in the evening, may actually support the way your kidneys function overnight. Not a supplement. Not an expensive superfood flown in from halfway around the world. Just a fruit sitting quietly in the produce aisle, overlooked by almost everyone. Stick with me, because in a few minutes, you're going to know exactly what it is, why the timing matters so much, and how something this small could make a real difference in how you feel and how your body works behind the scenes while you sleep. Let's talk for a moment about what your kidneys actually do, because most of us go decades without really understanding it. Two small organs, roughly the size of your fist, sitting just below your rib cage on either side of your spine. And every single day, they filter about 150 quarts of blood, pulling out waste, extra salt, and excess fluid, and turning it into the urine your body gets rid of. That's a lot of work. Non-stop, around the clock, without a single day off. Now here's where it starts to matter for you personally. As we get older, kidney function naturally starts to slow down a little. It's not something doctors talk about as often as heart health or cholesterol, but it's just as important. High blood pressure, diabetes, years of certain medications, even simple dehydration, all of it adds up and puts extra strain on those two hardworking organs. And the tricky part is, kidney issues are quiet. You might not feel achy. You might not feel sick. Many people walk around with reduced kidney function for years and have no idea, because the early signs are so easy to miss. Maybe you're a little more tired than usual. Maybe your ankles seem slightly puffier by the end of the day. Maybe you're getting up more at night. Most people just chalk it up to getting older. That's exactly why what you eat, and even when you eat it, starts to matter so much more as the years go by. Your body has less room for error than it used to. This is where fruit comes in, and I know that might surprise you. We're often told fruit is just something to enjoy in moderation, maybe because of the sugar content, especially if you're watching your blood sugar. But not all fruit behaves the same way in your body, and not all fruit affects your kidneys the same way either. Some fruits are loaded with potassium and phosphorus, which, in large amounts, can actually be harder on kidneys that are already under stress. But there's one particular fruit that stands apart. It's low in the compounds that tend to burden struggling kidneys, and it's rich in something else entirely, something that seems to support the very processes your kidneys rely on overnight while your body rests and repairs itself. And that timing, eating it before bed rather than earlier in the day, isn't just a random suggestion. There's a real reason behind it, one that has to do with how your kidneys work differently while you sleep compared to when you're up and moving around. I'll walk you through exactly what that reason is, and what this fruit is, in just a moment. So let's get into why nighttime specifically matters, because this is the part most people have never heard before. While you're awake and moving through your day, your blood pressure naturally rises and falls with activity, stress, meals, all of it. But at night, when you're resting, your blood pressure is supposed to dip. Doctors actually have a name for this. They call it nocturnal dipping. It's your body's natural way of giving your cardiovascular system and your kidneys a break. Here's what a lot of people don't realize. For some folks, especially as we get older, that nighttime dip doesn't happen the way it should. Blood pressure stays elevated through the night instead of easing off. And when that happens, your kidneys don't get the recovery window they're supposed to get. Over time, that can add extra wear on those delicate filtering structures inside them. This is exactly where the right evening fruit choice can make a quiet, meaningful difference. The fruit we're talking about is watermelon. I know, it might sound almost too simple, but watermelon has something special going on beneath that sweet, refreshing taste. It's roughly 92% water, which helps support healthy hydration overnight without loading your system with excess fluid all at once. But the real story is an amino acid it contains called citrulline. Here's where most people make a mistake. They assume citrulline is just something athletes talk about for muscle recovery. But citrulline actually gets converted in your body into another compound called arginine, and arginine plays a role in helping your blood vessels relax and widen slightly. That relaxation effect is part of what supports healthier blood pressure patterns, and healthier blood pressure overnight means less strain being placed on your kidneys while you sleep. There's something else too. Watermelon is naturally low in both potassium and phosphorus compared to many other fruits, bananas, oranges. Even avocados carry noticeably more of both. For kidneys that are already working a little harder than they used to, that lower mineral load makes watermelon considerably easier to process. Now, real-life example. Think about Linda, a woman I heard about, 73 years old, who'd been told by her doctor that her blood pressure readings at her checkups were creeping up, even though she felt fine. She wasn't overweight. She walked most mornings. She didn't smoke. What her doctor eventually asked about was her evening habits, what she was eating and drinking before bed. Turns out, like a lot of people, her evening snack was usually something salty, chips, or maybe a handful of pretzels while watching TV. Small swaps, like trading that salty snack for a small bowl of watermelon a couple hours before bed, are the kind of change that seems almost too small to matter. And yet, over weeks and months, those small evening choices add up in ways that surprise people. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, and the amount matters more than you'd think. That's exactly what I want to walk you through next. Alright, let's talk specifics, because this is where people either get real benefit or accidentally undo the good they're trying to do. Portion size matters more than most people expect. A reasonable evening serving is about 1 cup of cubed watermelon, roughly the size of a baseball. Not the whole half of a watermelon sitting in your fridge. Even though it's mostly water, watermelon still has natural sugar, and eating too much right before bed can spike your blood sugar at exactly the time your body is trying to wind down. So a modest portion, eaten about 1 to 2 hours before you turn in for the night, tends to work best. Timing matters too, and here's where most people make a mistake. Eating it too close to bedtime, right as you're brushing your teeth and heading to bed, means you're likely to be up using the bathroom an hour later. All that water content has to go somewhere. So giving yourself that 1 to 2 hour window lets your body process the fluid before you actually lie down, which means better sleep, not worse. Now, what about people managing diabetes or watching their blood sugar closely? This is important. Watermelon does have a fairly high glycemic index on its own, but here's the overlooked detail that changes everything because it's so water-dense. The actual amount of sugar in a single serving is quite low compared to something like a banana or a handful of dried fruit. Pairing it with a small handful of nuts, walnuts, or almonds work well, can also help slow that sugar absorption even further. If you're on medication for blood sugar or kidney-related concerns, it's always worth a quick conversation with your doctor about how much fits comfortably into your routine. There's another mistake I see people make, and it's an easy one. They assume if a little is good, more must be better. But with kidneys, especially kidneys that are already working a bit harder than they used to, moderation is really the whole game. Even a food this gentle can become too much of a good thing if you're eating large amounts every single night. Let's talk about who should be a bit more careful. If you've been told you have advanced kidney disease, or if you're on dialysis, your potassium needs may actually be more restricted than the average person's, and that's a conversation to have directly with your doctor or a renal dietitian, because everyone's situation is different. This isn't about replacing medical guidance, it's about giving you an easy, everyday habit that fits alongside whatever your doctor has already recommended for you. For most people, though, this small evening habit, a modest bowl of watermelon a couple hours before bed, is a simple, pleasant way to support your body's natural nighttime rhythm. And unlike a lot of health advice that feels like a chore, this one, honestly, most people enjoy. Now, let's bring it all together, because there's one more piece of this that ties everything you've just learned into something you can start tonight. So, here's what it really comes down to. Your kidneys work hard for you every single day, quietly, without complaint, without asking for much in return. And one of the simplest ways to support them isn't some complicated regimen or expensive supplement. It's paying a little more attention to what you reach for in the evening and when. Watermelon, eaten in a modest portion, about a cup, roughly 1 to 2 hours before bed, gives your body citrulline to help support healthy blood vessel relaxation, hydration without excess, and a naturally low mineral load that's gentle on kidneys that have been working hard for decades. And that healthier overnight blood pressure pattern means your kidneys get the recovery window they're supposed to have while you sleep. Remember Linda, the small swap she made, trading a salty evening snack for something her body could actually use to its advantage. That's really what this comes down to. Not a dramatic overhaul of your whole diet. Just one small, enjoyable change to your evening routine. If you take away just one thing from everything we've covered today, let it be this. The choices you make in those last couple hours before bed matter more than most people realize. Your kidneys, your blood pressure, even how well you sleep, they're all connected in ways that are easy to overlook. So tonight, instead of reaching for chips or something salty while you settle in for the evening, consider cutting up a little watermelon instead. It's simple. It's enjoyable. And it's one small way of taking care of an organ that's been quietly taking care of you your whole life. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.